I think in general over the recent years, the Nordics have come into more of a focus point for a lot of institutional and global investors. So that's probably the biggest difference, that the market per se didn't grow in size, but the international attention and the players invested in the markets have grown significantly.
In terms of accessing product, a change that we see is just a continuation actually and strengthening of the trend that is you get the best deals if you are located in the country. If you have local people or a local partner to assist you, this is probably even more dominant now because more and more deals are being either sold through a limited offering from the brokers or off market. Another trend which is fairly significant for us that we've seen the last 6 months actually is a stat that Andrew just gave me, which is very interesting. Year to date, apparently the UK market transaction volume has dropped 40% compared to last year to date, Germany 30% and France 20%. In the Nordics, we're having the best year ever in terms of transaction volume so far. So more and more of the international money is flowing into the Nordics or is staying within the Nordic region. And that is a significant trend that we see at the moment. Whether it will hold up, I don't know. We have to ask some fortune teller about that, depending on what's happening to the Brexit. But it is interesting to see how this safe haven that we've been known to be for such a long time appears to be even more safe now.
No, I think this has been very, very much so the case the last 3 to 5 years, actually. And in some ways, it actually reminds me a little bit how it looked in 07, 08, because we saw the same trend. So whether this is good or bad, I leave to someone else to decide. But yes, that is a trend.
Well, basically what we've seen, the biggest change, I think, in the Nordics, and I can mainly speak about Sweden because there we have somehow a significant portfolio, is the market, the investment market has become far more liquid. On the occupational markets, Sweden has always been a very safe haven. I think for Prologis, we never had a vacancy in Sweden. We probably had 20% of a building standing empty for 3 months. That was the longest we've ever seen. Otherwise, our buildings were always 100% leased. Very, very high renewal rates and steady rental growth. So really a very, very stable environment for investment. On the transaction market or the investment market, there has been probably by far the biggest changes over the last 3 or 4 years. 4 years ago, or a bit more than 4 years ago, when I arrived in Prologis and started working in Sweden, the investment market was somehow overly traditional. You could only buy or sell assets with very long leases. In logistics or industrial, that means 8, 9 years or 10 years better. Otherwise, there was even no buyer. It was not a question on pricing. They were just unsellable. And now there have been a lot of portfolio transactions with assets with shorter walls, with partly vacant buildings, and they still transact, and they transact with a far higher yield compression that we would have anticipated for such a traditionally stable market.